You can bend the Colts, but they just don't break. As the push for perfection rolls on to the Mile High City, it's a classic showdown, the league's most dangerous offense against a defense that just doesn't give up points. A potential playoff preview.
This is the Bill Polian Show, brought to you by Lucas Oil, with your hosts Wil Hampton and Bill Polian.
Thanks for joining us this week. Wil Hampton with Bill Polian. Welcome to the Bill Polian Show. And Sunday in the Mile High City, I guess that's what people are saying about this one. It's a classic offense against defense, perhaps. That's what some say. I know it's 6-0 against 5-1. It's a good football game.
It's a good football game any way you slice it, and a good rivalry. Two teams that have high aspirations. Should be a good football game.
Yeah, and it's a game that you'll go in for the second straight week without Monte Rager. Of course, last Sunday, near tragedy. We do count our blessings that Monte is still with us, but he is beat up pretty badly. It's going to be a long time before he plays football.
Thank
again.
God. He's his lower extremities are fine. Everything is confined to the head area, and there's no brain damage. That's the good news. The bad news is that he's got some serious facial injuries, and which are going to have to be corrected by surgery. So we don't know exactly what the prognosis will be. We're hopeful that maybe he could come back if we make the playoffs, maybe even sooner than that. I'm not overly optimistic about that. But the most important thing is that everything else is okay. It could have been very, very serious and really life-threatening. So count your blessings.
He's had a great career in Indianapolis, and he's the kind of guy that will be a leader even if he can't go back on the field. I know I just from talking to the players this week, they're already feeling some inspiration from Monte.
Oh, that's absolutely right. As soon as he's able to come around and be in the locker room and be in the building, he'll be a big factor for us. He's a real leader and a guy that we're going to miss on the field, but we'll have his leadership in the locker room and in the classroom.
It's amazing what your defense has been through this year, injury-wise. As we talk about another one, Mike Doss now out for the season with the knee injury that he suffered in the last game against the Skins.
Yeah, it's been from day one. It's of training camp. It's just been injury after injury, to the point where we don't even wring our hands anymore. We just shrug and move on. You know, it's I've never seen anything quite like it. Unfortunately, Mike's gone for the season, and we re-signed Dexter Reed, who'd been with us last year and been with us in camp and knows the system, so he'll step in, and I'm sure he'll do a good job for us. And thankfully, Bob Sanders is back from his injury just in the nick of time. But it's been a tough year. I hope the worst is behind us. I can't imagine going 9 more weeks with what we've faced thus far.
It's been amazing though. One guy goes out, another one steps in, and hey, let's talk about a play that was real scary when you talk about what could have happened. Peyton Manning getting just mauled on this play. Scary situation right here.
Yeah, we felt like there ought to be a penalty there for at least for unnecessary roughness. The referee, to his credit, said that he didn't see the hit. He was watching the ball, but as we see here, it's awfully ugly. And it's the second man coming in who tears his helmet off, Philip Daniels, that inflicts the damage. But fortunately, Peyton's okay, thank God.
Yeah,
he's a little sore in the lower back because of the whiplash, but it could have been a lot worse than that.
But his numbers, 25 of 35, 342 yards, 4 touchdowns, and has been named the AFC Player of the Week for last week when the Colts beat the Redskins. And then, as we talk about that game, what a third quarter. Perhaps the best quarter of football we've seen in a long, long time.
I would say so.
Manning was 7 of 8. Joseph Addai had 64 yards in the quarter. Just a perfect quarter as you blew away the Skins. Yeah,
it really was. I don't think we've played offense quite that effectively and efficiently in 4 or 5 years. It really was dynamite, and it's fun to watch, and obviously got everybody energized, and Joseph did a terrific job, and he's adapting each week more and more to the National Football League, getting used to what he's seeing. The thing that doesn't show up, this was a great pass to Reggie Wayne, as most of our fans know, but the thing that doesn't show up on that play, Joseph picked up a blitzer and just stoned him, stopped him cold. So, everybody was worrying about, well, they can't block the blitz. We can block the blitz.
And let's hope they can block the blitz on Sunday at Denver, Mile High City, where Denver has won 13 straight home games. As you take a look at the matchup, 4:15 kickoff A little later radio starting at 1 o'clock now with Dog and Zoop and the pregame scoop. Let's start with their running game, the Bell brothers, so to speak.
Yes,
Tatum
the
and
Bell
Mike.
brothers, Tatum and Mike, and they're downhill runners. And as we'll see as we roll the tape, what they do is cut back. The minute they see a hole, they'll cut back. In this case, they got the hole outside into the end zone. Both guys have good speed. Mike Bell was a collegiate free agent who we thought very, very highly of. And here's a screen pass. Again, you can see the kind of leg drive and activity that Tatum has. And they block well. They do a great job in terms of finding the daylight. And they're a running team. And, of course, up until last week, we had difficulty with the run. Enter Booger McFarland, and we were a lot better against it. But we've still got a rough task in front of us.
Yeah, task to try to score against their defense is probably the number one difficulty. They've only given up 2 touchdowns all year long. I mean, this is a defense that just numbers 44 total points. That's all they've given up all year. They're 4th-rated overall defense, top 10 in both stopping the run and against the pass. And when you look at some of their players, the personnel, to me, I think veteran. They've got a lot of guys that have been around a while that are just smart football players.
Well, they're smart football players, but also great athletes. And you start with the corners, Durant Williams and you know, the perennial Pro Bowler on the other side, and then Al Wilson and J.D. Williams and Ian Gold. You know, that's a back 7 that's the equal of any in the league, and maybe the best in the league. And they run around and they make plays, and you know, they intercept the ball, and they return balls for touchdowns. I believe this is Champ, is it not?
Yep.
Yeah, you know, he's probably the best one-on-one corner in the league. And as John Lynch said, in many respects, they've been built to play us. They changed their style of defense. They brought in personnel that they thought could help them. They traded Clinton Portis in order to bring in Champ Bailey to cover Marvin. And so in many ways, it is a matchup kind of game. And they are a great defense, no question about that.
What a compliment for him to say that they were built to try to play the Colts.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think that they make any bones about that, and they've done a great job of it. So we'll see. It's going to be a tough ball game. And as always, the Mile High City is a very tough place to play. It seems we always play these good teams on the road.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They say it might be good weather, though. We'll see.
Well, that's good.
Cross fingers. Hey, each and every week we ask you to go to Colts.com, and you can do that right now. Wait till after the show, but go to Colts.com and ask Mr. Polian a question. This week we start with Bob Murley from Indianapolis. His question, Mr. Polian, could you please explain the term red zone production? Thank you.
Absolutely. The red zone is from the other team's 20-yard line into the goal line. That's called the red zone. And the reason it's called the red zone is because the defense wants to stop you in there and has to stop you instead of scoring. So bottom line is you measure your red zone production by the number, just the way you do a batting average, the number of times you've been in there and the number of times you come away with points. Whether it's touchdowns or field goals is immaterial. As long as you get points in the red zone, you're probably in pretty good shape. And if you've got a high red zone conversion ratio, if you're in there in the 55 to 60% range, you're probably a very good team.
Yep. Against Denver, it will be tough to get any points.
We don't have very much red zone film, believe it or not, because teams haven't been in there a lot against them. That says all you need to know about their defense.
Exactly. Another email question coming up in the next segment. Plus, every successful offense relies on the big boys up front. One of the newest starters on the offensive line, Dylan Gandy, joins us next on the Bill Polian Show.
The Bill Polian Show is brought to you by Lucas Oil.
Back on the Bill Polian Show this evening, and, well, we just got a whole lot bigger with Dylan Gandy,
Big
starting
time.
left guard for your Indianapolis Colts. Welcome, Dylan.
Thank you. I appreciate
A
it.
big man from Texas. And first of all, say your high school name.
Pflugerville.
Pflugerville. Every time I look at that on paper, I'm a little careful how I say it.
Sounds like it ought to be in Indiana.
It should be. Pflugerville, Texas. Well, welcome to the Bill Polian
Thank
Show.
you.
And
Thank you.
now you're up front, starting for protecting Peyton Manning. We already saw his hit earlier in the show. When you see him get hit like that, what do you do?
You know, it's hard not to take that personal when it's your job to protect him, and then something like that happens. It was ugly, and none of us liked it at all, and it was really pretty motivating to us as a group, I believe.
Yeah, take it personal.
Yeah.
They do, and they do a good job of it. How have you found the transition from being a rookie and getting a little bit of playing time to stepping in as a starter this year?
You know, I really feel like it's been something that's been gradual. I feel like the rookie year just kind of flew by and was definitely a blur in a lot of ways. But over the off season, I really tried to grasp our concepts better, our schemes, and just the fundamentals of what we do, and became a lot more comfortable with it. And then through training camp and summer school, I had the opportunity to just practice with those guys some, and fortunately, you know, it worked out so that I got to play, and I feel like every week, my goal is just to get a little bit better, and hopefully I'm still doing that and can do that the rest of the season.
He's also snapping the ball some.
Yeah.
So.
Kind of a backup for Jeff Saturday.
Yeah, he's I think he's one of the best that are out there, and if I can do anything to help out there, I'd love to. But I know that he's definitely the man for that spot.
And this offensive line, there's been some pieces kind of, put in here and there. You have Targ and Jeff and Ryan have now been together for a couple of years. But how tough is it to kind of step in when a group is kind of used to playing together a little bit?
You know, it really wasn't as tough as you'd think it would be. And I really think that's because of the guys that I'm playing with, playing in between Jeff and Tark.
Yeah.
Two guys that really are just some of the best in the league at what they do. And those guys really help you out a lot. They talk to you. They make sure that you understand what you're doing so that we can be good as a unit. And playing with those guys, it really hasn't been that hard of a transition.
Yeah. Is it true, Bill? I've heard the wives' tale I've heard since he went to Texas Tech is that your good friend Bob Knight is the one that told you, hey, you want to look at this Gandy kid.
There's some truth to that.
There's some truth to that.
A little scouting down there in the Big 12, and I get the reports.
Yeah, so it worked out.
Worked out fine.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Dylan, for coming in this evening.
Yeah, my pleasure.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Each and every week we ask you to ask questions for President Bill Polian. This week, our second question, does the coaching staff and front office take some time off during the bye week? That's from Brad Stafford from Franklin.
Well, the coaching staff gets a couple of days off, Saturday and Sunday. The front office staff really only gets Sunday off, and not everybody gets that because the guys who are doing pro scouting are out at games that weekend. But it's most of the time it's a busman's holiday. We're at high school games, or in my case, college games, or in case of the coaches, maybe some of their sons' games, things of that nature. So it's just a break from the daily routine of 14-hour days.
Yeah. If I know you, but the only break he gets is about in July, you might play a little golf.
That's about it.
That's about it. Dylan, thanks again for coming in this evening.
Yeah, appreciate it.
All right. More email questions coming up next Saturday, and it's much more about the guys in the trenches when we come back. Vice President of Football Operations Chris Polian and Jeffrey Gorman are talking about Dylan Gandy and his mates playing the guard position. Stay with us. More of the Bill Polian Show after this.
Your child can be the next H.H. Gregg Jr. fan of the game. For each home Colts game, one child ages 6 to 14 will be chosen to be down on the field to be seen on the big screen cheering the Colts to victory. There's no purchase necessary, and you can register your child at any Central Indiana area H.H. Gregg location. See your store for details. Time for the Lucas Oil Stadium construction update, presented by the Indiana Union Construction Industry. Skilled on principle, union by choice. Current work on Lucas Oil Stadium includes precast treads, risers, entrances, and walls in the lower and mid-bowl. Metal studs are being constructed in the lower suite level, as well as steel chairs have been started in Quad A. This is your Lucas Oil Stadium construction update, presented by the Indiana Union Construction Industry. Skilled on principle, union by choice.
Welcome back to Bill Polian Show. The president will be back with us in just a bit. A big reason for the Colts' offensive success this year is due to the big play of the big guys up front. Of course, we heard from first-year full-time starter Dylan Gandy earlier. Now it's time to check in with Jeffrey Gorman and Chris Polian to get their thoughts on the guard position.
Thanks, Will. Another inside look at the Colts awaits with Assistant General Manager Chris Polian. Thanks for being here, Chris. Today we're talking about the offensive guard position. Very important in this scheme. We're talking about Jake Scott, Dylan Gandy, Ryan Lilja. Talk about the importance of those guys.
Obviously significant since they're so close to the quarterback and the ball, and we're seeing so much blitzing and pressure coming up the middle now. across the league, that having that solid, steady combination inside to firm the pocket, allowing Peyton to step up, is a big part of our offensive success.
I want to single out one guy, Jake Scott. He's been here a couple of years now and really filled in, hasn't missed a beat, and hasn't missed a lot of starts.
No, Jake's done very well for us. He's come in a late-round draft choice and was very quickly put to the fire and has done very well and very steady and consistent.
Dylan Gandy, another youngster, a second-year man. He's in here. He's playing a lot as well.
Yeah, Dylan was held back by injuries a little bit early in his rookie year, and once given the opportunity, seized it and has done very well. Has been very consistent.
Ryan Lilja, a fun story to listen to. Got him off the the practice squad of the Chiefs, and came in and really made an impact early.
Yeah, it wasn't too long before he got here, and then he was thrown into a starting job on Thanksgiving Day against Detroit a few years ago, and has been, a very steady presence since. And I think you talk about all our guards. They're very smart and very tough, kind of gritty, and all of them, probably could be termed as overachievers, but those are the guys who get better and become very consistent.
The moniker big, dumb offensive lineman, and I don't mean that in a negative sense, but I'm just talking about through the years, that is farthest from the truth when you're talking about an offensive lineman.
Yeah, cannot have any learning difficulties or any mental difficulties with our scheme, the adjustments you make on a weekly basis to face your opponents, as well as the adversity that each individual player faces on a Sunday, being able to move on from a bad play and continue to have a good game, and all those guys are very steady mentally and emotionally.
Well, thanks for your time, Chris. That was another inside look at the Colts with Chris Polian. Wil Hampton, Bill Polian, back to you.
It's time now for our Dick's Sporting Goods Future Stars winner. This week, the winner is Matthew Stahl from Avon. Matthew is 9 years old, plays right tackle for Avon Junior Athletics. His favorite player is Peyton Manning. And Matthew registered at the Avon's Dick's store. Matthew has won 2 tickets to a future Colts game. Register your future star at an Indianapolis Dick's Sporting Goods location. So congratulations, Matthew. When we come back, Mr. Polian will offer his keys to victory on the Mile High matchup. Plus, we'll be joined in studio by Mooresville quarterback Trent Mossbrucker, a top-notch quarterback with quite a leg as well. Stay with us. More on the Bill Polian Show after this.
The Bill Polian Show is brought to you by Lucas Oil.
Our spotlight focus this week on the Bill Polian Show, Trent Mossbrucker of Mooresville. Welcome, Trent.
Welcome.
Good to have you here. It is big-time playoff time for all high school football right now as the road to the Dome continues. You guys have had another great season, haven't you?
Yes, we're actually 9-1 right now, and we're playing well right now.
Yeah, another good one. Earlier this year, Bill, we had another guy. It was Tyler Reimer from Zionsville. That's a quarterback-kicker combination. Here's another George Blanda wannabe.
Hey,
I bet you know who George Blanda is.
I don't know who George Blanda is.
We'll have to tell you after the show, or your dad can tell you. But,
Yeah.
That's a great combination because you got an opportunity to affect the game 2 ways.
Yes.
One of the neat things about him, Bill, is that his older brother, Kyle, he was the starting quarterback for 3 years, and then right away, Trent steps in and is the starting quarterback now for the past 2 years. So it's been Mossbrucker High, really, instead of Mooresville High last few years.
Got a lock on the position. You got any other brothers at home ready to play?
No, I'm the end of it.
You're the last one, huh?
Yes.
Why quarterback, and has it just been sort of a natural thing for you to play?
Yes, I grew up, I think I started 6th grade quarterback, and that's when I started playing. And I just liked it. I like the pressure. I like the game. I mean, you get to do everything. Quarterback, you run, pass. You get to be command of the huddle. I like the position.
How did you get into the kicking?
Playing soccer, and just asked to kick a football one day, and just kind of came naturally.
I'll be darned. That's a pretty good. That's a pretty good combination. What's your longest field goal?
My longest field goal this year is 49 yards.
Wow! Holy mackerel!
And you said perhaps that if you play at the next level in college, that's what you might be as a kicker? Or?
Yes, I'd love to play the next level, and if kicking's my way there, then I'd love to do that.
With a 49-yard field goal, I would think you would.
Yeah,
You'd be in demand.
And we have some video of your brother Kyle. How much different do you look than him? You both wear the number 11.
I'm a
You're,
little,
you're better looking.
a little taller than him,
Oh,
too.
okay.
That's a big joke around the house. Is he wasn't very tall, but he's a good player.
I could tell the difference in the throwing motion.
Yeah. He had an arm on him, but he was a good player.
Yeah. Well, it's good to have you here, and we hope the road to the Dome continues for a long time. I know your coach, Mark Bless, is one of the best, right?
Oh, yes, he's a great coach. He knows a lot about the game. It's been in his family for a very long time, and his father, Bill, who was a coach at University of Indianapolis and just grew up with the game, and he's a very good coach. He knows what he's doing.
All right. Well, Trent, thank you, and thanks to your mom and dad for
Thank
bringing you
you.
down here
Thanks a
tonight.
million. Good luck
Thank you.
as you go forward. We hope we'll see you at the Dome.
Yes,
Now,
hopefully.
let's take a look at the matchup for tomorrow. The Colts at Denver. And it's another late afternoon kick, 4:15 from the Mile High City. It'll be a late one on the postgame show on Q95, so tune in. It's a lot of Colts coverage. We'll have it all covered for you. Well, let's take a look at this one. The keys to the victory, let's hope, against Denver.
Well, number one, protect the ball. You can't give them extra times at bat in Mile High. It's not Mile High any longer. It's in Vesco Field. We both forget that.
Yeah.
But it is a mile high up there, so the altitude, they try to make you think it's an issue, but it really isn't.
Yeah.
Secondly, we've got to make sure that we run the ball well, because the key to their defense, and especially their pass defense, is those linebackers being able to drop their great speed. So we have to run the ball well to get them to respect the run and open up the play action game. And then finally, we've got to do a big job in terms of pass defense, both rushing the passer and limiting the big plays, not giving them big plays in the passing game. Rod Smith is great at that, and he's hurt us before in the past, and we've got to shut that down. And of course, limit the big plays in the running game. The running game is what really makes it go for them.
It's the first of two tough ones on the road, Denver, then New England, but we take them one game at a time.
One at a time. Let's get the Broncos first, and then we'll worry about what comes next.
One at a time, and we'll see you next week right here on the Bill Polian Show.